Hey guys, today we get to do something that is so much fun for me. If you guys recall, last fall I had a video on the best budget in-ear monitors available at the time, and that video became way more popular than I ever expected. So I learned something, and that's that you guys want to know what are the best budget in-ear monitors. And that is absolutely awesome because I love doing this stuff. As an ex-professional musician and audio engineer and now YouTube influencer, I am a total audiophile and I just geek out over this stuff. Since that video last fall, I get countless in-ear monitor companies reaching out to me all the time to see if I want to try their in-ear monitors. And so as a result, I have this awesome opportunity to put together a list of what I feel like are the top 5 in-ear monitors that are available for you this year. Go ahead and grab a cup of coffee and join me as we talk about the best budget in-ear monitors available in 2019. This video does have a couple of sponsors, and let me tell you how this works, okay? Like I said, I've had lots of different brands and companies reaching out to me to promote their in-ear monitors, and I don't just take money from anyone to promote on my channel, okay? I have a very specific mission here with Guns and Guitars. Spend less so you can play more. So if their products don't align with that value, then I want nothing to do with it. Also, my own personal integrity, if I'm gonna be doing a video on the top 5 in-ear monitors available this year, they better actually be the top 5 in-ear monitors available this year. So after trying out all those in-ear monitors, I came up with my top 5 list, and I reached out to Linsol Audio and BetterAudioUS to see if they'd be interested in co-sponsoring this video, since they are the people that sent me these in-ear monitors, and they obliged, so thank you so much. And as you guys know, with all of my sponsored content, I don't allow paid promotion on my channel unless they are willing to hook you guys up with a discount. So while these 5 in-ear monitors are already the best value in the industry, you guys get them for even cheaper. So check out those discount coupon codes down in the description next to the affiliate links. Okay, let's get started. Sorry, one more thing before we get started. I want to remind you guys that if you want to get your full money's worth out of these in-ear monitors, you need to start with a pair of these. These are memory foam ear tips, okay? With these, you will get the proper isolation that you need that is so important, okay? If you are a professional musician or audio engineer, you need to be isolated from your sound source so that you can get a true reference of what you are hearing. And these memory foam tips will also broaden the frequency spectrum, especially in the low end, as it helps transfer some of that energy to the small bones of your ears. If you want to get your money's worth out of these in-ear monitors, you need to start with a pair of these. So I'll put links down in the description to the best deals on this. They're not very expensive, and they'll help you get 2 to 3 times the sound out of your in-ear monitors. They are that important. They are that important.
That important.
We're gonna go ahead and start at the very bottom of the budget spectrum with the KZ ZSN Pros. These amazing little in-ear monitors come in at just $25. Now, if you guys remember my original video last fall, I talked about the KZ ZSNs, and I thought that they were an excellent kind of low budget option to get in. I recommended them for some vocalists or maybe some acoustic guitar players and stuff, people that are just really on a budget that need a good pair of reference monitors. Remember, when we're talking about reference monitors, we're not talking about ear candy monitors, okay? Skull Candy, Bose, Beats, those things, they boost all the candy frequencies. Their whole intention is to make music that's already mixed and mastered sound even better, okay? That's not what we're going for here. As musicians and audio engineers, we want a true reference, which means we don't want in-ear monitors that make music sound better. We want in-ear monitors that make music sound true to the original source. I cannot believe how good these KZ ZSN Pros are at that. Okay, if you guys remember, the original ZSNs were a dual driver hybrid design. So that means it has one dynamic driver covering the low end and one balanced armature driver covering the high end. The ZSN Pros are still true to the dual driver hybrid design. However, they've got bigger, better drivers in them now. You'll notice that the housing is a little bit bigger than the original ZSNs, and the dynamic driver reaches way down into those lower frequencies a lot better than the original ZSNs did. So, whereas before I recommended these for like vocalists and acoustic guitar players and some other instrumentalists maybe that are just kind of getting in and don't have a whole lot of budget, these I would recommend to all musicians, okay? As a bass player, these have enough usable frequency in the low end to get down into that 50, 60 hertz, those gut rumbling bass frequencies that you need as a bass player. So for bass players, drummers, keys players, any of those extended range instruments that need both the high end and the the low end to come through in a true reference monitor. These ZSN Pros do it amazingly. I can't believe how amazingly they do it for only $25. Not to mention that these things look absolutely pro. Nobody looking at you would ever know that you only spent $25 on your in-ear monitors. Now, a quick hack for you guys. Lots of people complain that the KZs don't have any sort of cable tie to pull the cable up behind your head. Well, if you just take the included black twist tie and twist it around in a coil shape like that, then you've got an awesome little slip joint for your cable. Now, it's no surprise to me that KZ is the first on the list because they're the ones that have been turning this industry upside down to begin with. They were the first company to take high quality professional grade audio reproduction down to a budget that the average person can afford. But now there is a new contender in the industry that you guys are going to want to know about, and that is CCA. This is the CCA C10, and coming in at not much bigger than the ZSN Pros, this impressive little housing actually has 5 drivers in it. And it is a hybrid design, so there is 1 dynamic driver and 4 balanced armature drivers per ear. In my opinion, these win the best value hands down because the audio reproduction is absolutely stellar. These things are just awesome for sound reproduction. While KZ's just been killing it with that, I mean, one of the things that I love about KZ is that they have a super flat frequency response. The one thing that's part of the KZ signature sound is they do kind of round off the high end a little bit and have a slight boost in the high mids to compensate. But while they still were great for reference, there is just that little bit missing up there in the high end. And these, I feel like, just square that off entirely. So these have got to be the flattest and most dynamic in-ear monitors that I've heard in a long time, especially for the price of just $39. I cannot believe how cheap these are for how good they sound. These are actually the ones that I've been using lately. You guys know that I'm a fan of the KZ AS10s, which are a $60 in-ear monitor, and they are a 5 balanced armature driver design. But these get impressively good audio, probably as good as the AS10s, for $20 less. So that's why they've replaced the AS10s for the spot of what I feel like is the best value right now. These are certainly taking the spot for in-ear monitors that I would recommend to a bass player or drummer. Previously, I had recommended the KZ ZS5s and ZS6s because of the ultra low end that they have. Well, these carry that low end just as good, but they have a much more balanced, higher frequency spectrum. So you don't lose anything in that upper high end clarity. So when you're listening to other guitar players or vocalists in your band, you can still hear them crystal clear, but more importantly, you can hear that low end crystal clear. And it is very good sounding low end. Crystal clear, not muddy at all. And like KZ, these don't come with any sort of cable tie for behind your head, so you have to do the same ghetto hack. I know it's ghetto, but it works stellar. Okay, stepping it up another level, we come in with the KZ ZS10 Pros. If you recall from a previous video, I did not like the KZ ZS10s, okay? I thought they were actually kind of a flop. I thought the housings were way too big. I felt like the bass was way too muddy. They just in general were not a very good design. I much preferred the AS10s, which were quite a bit more expensive, but were an all balanced armature design and they sounded much better and much more clear. Well, they apparently took my notes from that last video and redesigned these guys because these have a much smaller housing than the previous ZS10s, but they have way more clarity, especially down in the low end. Okay, how do these differ from the C10s? Well, they don't differ a whole lot, okay? The CCA C10s are a very similar design. They're about the same size housing. They both have 4 balanced armature and 1 dynamic driver in their design. The difference is just in the fit. So they fit your ears just a little bit different. So that's one of those things that you'll just have to try out and see which one fits your ears better. And 2, the sound signature is just a little bit different. Okay, I was telling you that KZ kind of has their specific signature KZ sound, and these definitely fall into that spectrum. So if you like the sound of KZs, then you are going to love these because they sound like KZ headphones, just with much bigger dynamic range and much bigger frequency response than you would get on, say, the ZSN Pros. But it comes at a price. These are literally twice the price at about $50. These cost twice as much as the ZSN Pros. Now, whether you're gonna like the ZS10 Pros versus the C10s, I don't know, it's just gonna be a matter of personal preference, okay? Like I said, the fit is slightly different, so whichever one is more comfortable, if you're gonna be wearing these for a long period of time, that's the one that you probably wanna go with. The sound signature is very similar, but the ZS10s do sound like KZs. So they have that rounded out top end, but they both have a nice neutral flat frequency response for true reference monitoring, so you really can't go wrong with either. Real quick coffee break while I gather my thoughts about the last two monitors. Here's to you guys. So one sort of caveat, so to speak, about these multi-driver headphones, okay, 5 drivers in each ear, is that you need to have large ear canals that can actually fit these in-ear monitors. And while I do have small ears, I have ridiculously large ear canals, so it's never an issue for me. But I do realize that it is an issue for some, which brings me to my next recommendation. These are the BetterAudio T3s, and as you can see, they have a much smaller housing. These are perfect for people that have limited real estate inside their ear canals. I have sort of a love-hate relationship with BetterAudio, okay, because they make excellent sounding earphones, but they don't necessarily make them for musicians and sound engineers, okay? I reviewed the T2s and I recommended them for in-ear monitors, but I also reviewed the T2 Pros and they were terrible reference monitors. They sounded very Bosey. Okay, we have a saying in the industry, highs and lows, it must be Bose, okay? Because that's what Bose does. They boost the crystal frequencies up in the top and they boost the super low end so that listening to music sounds very enjoyable, but it makes for a very poor reference. So I would never recommend the T2 Pros for use as reference monitors, but the T3s, I don't know what they do, but these are only a 2-driver design. So hybrid design, same as the ZSN Pros with the single dynamic driver and single balanced armature driver, but they sound so enormous for such a small package. I mean, okay, this is the ZSN Pro. This is the T3. Look at how much smaller it is. It is ridiculous how much sound they can fit into this tiny little package. I don't know how they do it. It's some sort of engineering ingenuity. Wow. It's some kind of ingenious engineering. But unlike the T2 Pros, these actually have a very neutral sound signature, which makes them great as reference monitors. And also, unlike the T2s that I had originally recommended, these have a much more extended frequency range. So they do dive a little bit deeper and they go up a little bit higher. So you just get increased frequency response and dynamic range overall in a tiny little package that can fit inside even the smallest ear canals. They also have a much beefier professional cable, and as you can see, they have a bead on there as your cable tie. So this thing comes out of the box ready to go. However, like I mentioned, a lot of engineering has gone into these, and as a result, you pay for it, okay? These things are $69, so they are a little bit more expensive than the AS10s or the ZS10 Pros or the CCA10s, but if you have small ear canals, this is the pair that you want. And lastly on this list, we are coming back to our new contender in the industry, CCA. These are the CCA C16s, and as you can see, the housing on these is quite a bit bigger, and for good reason. These are the KZ AS10s, and these were my go-to in-ear monitors for maybe the last 6 or 8 months, okay? I absolutely love these things, and if you recall, it's because of the 5 balanced armature drivers. I really felt like those drivers just really opened up a ton of space in my head, whatever that means. I all of a sudden could hear all kinds of dynamics, compressors, trailing reverbs, things that I just couldn't hear through some of the other budget options at the time. I mean, I just felt like these really just created a space in my head that was like I was sitting in the room listening to music. So like I said, this is the AS10 with 5 balanced armatures, and you can see this here is the C16. It is the exact same size housing. The only difference is this actually has 8 balanced armature drivers in it. That's right, these guys have 8 balanced armature drivers in the left and 8 balanced armature drivers in the right for a total of 16 balanced armature drivers. Now this gets me so excited because having an 8 driver earphone was only available from really high-end companies like 64 Audio, JH Audio, Ultimate Ear, and you are paying $2,000 to $3,000 for a set of in-ear monitors like these. But like I said, CCA, I feel like, is really going to turn the industry upside down the same way that KZ did with these C16s coming in at just $149. Now, $149, I know sounds like it's on the high end of the budget spectrum, but when you're comparing these to $2,000 and $3,000 in-ear monitors, that is nothing. If you also compare it to the budget offerings from Shure and Sennheiser, they'll start you off at $149 for a single dynamic driver design. Here you get 8 balanced armature drivers. So I know that all sounds good on paper, but how do they actually sound? And the answer is
Huge.
okay, the same way the AS10s opened up all that space in my head that I didn't know was there before, these take it to the next level. Now, I realize that $149 is really expensive for some of you guys, so I don't necessarily call these the best value. I really think that the CCA C10s probably fit that category a little bit better, but when you pay the extra $100 for these, you are getting more than $100 worth of sound, okay? If you are an audio engineer, if you need some in-ear monitors for mixing and mastering, or if you just want to have that big open space in your head, that's the best way I can describe it. I know you guys probably don't understand until you actually hear these what I'm talking about. But for the price, you're just not gonna find that massive sound reproduction, okay? These are gonna get you that true reference and crystal clear across the entire frequency spectrum. Again, these are not meant to be Bose headphones or Beats headphones or any of those that are meant to make music sound all sparkly and good and like you're eating candy, okay?
You even say?
These are giving you a true reference. If you want to hear music the way it was originally intended to be heard by the person who is mixing and mastering it, these are the ones that you want. Now you might be thinking, great Dan, we know about all these budget in-ear monitors, but how do we get a budget wireless in-ear monitor system? Well, you're in luck because right here I have a video on a genius hack where I turned a cheap $50 wireless instrument system into a wireless in-ear monitor system. So check out that video next. I'm Dan, this is Guns and Guitars, and I will see you in that next video.